What's up, guys? You're listening to the Truth Podcast with Hany and Rambod, and I have a very special guest today coming out from Arlington, Texas. Some people call him the King. Others will call him the Big Nasty. I call him the GOAT. 8-time Mr. Olympia, Ronnie Coleman. Let's get Ronnie on here. What's up, big dog?
Can you hear me now?
Oh, I can hear you now. There you go.
I was testing that microphone.
Oh.
Where you at?
I'm in my office. I'm in my podcast studio.
Oh, okay.
How you doing, brother?
That's pretty neat. Oh, yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
Awesome. Well, man, thank you. I know you're busy. You got a lot of kids. You got your company. You got so many things going on.
They'll be screaming in a minute me to take them somewhere. I've been gone all day already. You know, if it ain't nothing to do around here, your wife finds something for you to do.
That married life, man.
It's all well. Don't forget 4 kids.
Yeah.
I actually got 5 now because my son just moved in yesterday.
Wow. So you got a full house, literally.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, Ronnie, again, man, this is, we hung out so much and we've done so many things in the last 20 years together. And back when we were both single and doing a lot, running around the world, doing what we're doing. And I don't think a lot of people realize kind of our relationship and what we've done in the last, especially since you were winning Olympias and then going from there. So, I want to just get the listeners and the viewers to kind of get a little bit of an understanding of not just our relationship, but kind of how everything went from when you turned pro all the way forward, because a lot of people don't realize. They all see your success and they go, wow, 8 times Olympia, the greatest ever, the king, the GOAT. But they don't realize you came up from just getting a gym membership, working, getting Brian basically talked you into competing. And people know about that because they've watched Joe Rogan podcast. They've watched, a lot of your movies, a lot of the videos. But I think they don't realize that when you first turned pro and you made it to the Olympia stage, where did you place?
Shit, I didn't place. My first Olympia, I didn't even get a call out.
Right. 1992. It was the year that Dorian Yates won in Helsinki, Finland.
Yep. Helsinki.
And when you turned pro right before that, at the World Championship, correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
the World Championship in Poland.
And you won that World Championship and you get an automatic invite. Because at the time, that's what's going on. Hey, how are you doing? What's your name?
Sophie.
Sophie, nice to meet you. We got one of Ronnie's many daughters jumping in. For those of you that are listening who are not watching the YouTube, his daughter is absolutely adorable. And she's got some guns on her too. That's some good genetics right there. But what I wanted to bring up is the fact that you won the championships, got your pro card, and then how long after that did you jump on the Olympia stage?
I won my pro card in November of 91. Did my first pro show May 92, Chicago, placed 11th. Then week after that, I placed 14th at Night of Champions. So I went to the Olympia, I think it was September that year.
Mm-hmm.
It was September that year in Helsinki.
And you went and you were the only, I think you were the only one that didn't get a call out, right?
No. I think there was another guy there, Jose Ramos. I forget his last name. I know his first name was Jose because he had went on the he had got his pro card at the World Championships too. Back then, if you got your pro card at the World Championships, it automatically qualified you for the Olympia next year.
Right. And
me and him were the only two that got our pro cards there. And me and him were the only two that qualified for the Olympia automatically by getting it there. And we were the only two that showed up at the Olympia. And we were the only two that probably didn't get called out.
So during, and we don't see that anymore. Like when Jim Mannion and Steve Weinberger and Sandy, when they're doing call outs now, everybody gets a call out now. Back then, you were just standing on the side of the stage. Is that what happened?
Yep. That's pretty much what happened. You know, we just stood there.
What did you weigh back then?
I was 215 back then.
215.
Yeah.
Wow.
15. No, I was just started bodybuilding, you know. So I started bodybuilding, and I can tell you exactly when. It was December of 1989, because I went to Metroflex in November of 1989, and Brian talked me into competing in December, and I did my first amateur show. April 7th, 1990.
And that was the Texas show?
Texas. Mr. Texas, you know, it was the AAU. That's what they called it back then.
Right.
Yeah. That was my first amateur show. So between that and, you know, my first Olympia was only like 2 years. And I was only almost, 2 years in the bodybuilding. But I've been working out all my life. You know, I started working out when I was like 12, started powerlifting when I was 15, somewhere in there, 14, 15. I joined the powerlifting team, out of high school. And I powerlifted for about 3-4 years, you know, competitively. I didn't do that good, but, you know, I still built up a real good base, which allowed me to, you know, be able to turn pro in like a year and a half, somewhere in there, almost 2 years, and compete in my first Olympia, you know, in almost 2 years.
Well, when you did that,
a lot of people can do that.
I mean, obviously, very few people were able to get to that level that quickly.
Exactly. Like I said, because that big base up, you know, I was already established as far as, you know, training and all that kind of stuff goes. You know, all I did was like switch from being a power lifter to a bodybuilder. And the only change was, you know, doing more reps. You know, I trained, you know, every day as a power lifter. So I just went from doing, you know, we did 4 reps, 6 reps, 2 reps, something like that, 2, 4, 6 as a power lifter, maybe 2 or 3 sets. And then bodybuilding, you know, was 10, 15, 20, 25, something like that.
And who taught you that? Was that Brian?
That was the only. Yeah. And of course, you know, it worked real good.
Yeah, for sure. You can't argue with those results. But I guess my thing is that when you were doing that, again, going back to your natural strength, because I remember seeing pictures of you back in high school, and you already had arms. Before you even started working out and doing weights, were you already big, or was it something that the minute?
I had 22-inch arms when I went to Metroflex, because a guy in college had measured them one time. One of my instructors that measured them, because he had a bet with me, you know, that my arms were 22, and I'm like, no way, dude. You got no 22-inch arms. He's like, okay, I'll bet you. I forgot what it was, but he took out his tape measure and measured them, and it was 22 inches. That was like my last year of college. Yeah.
And that was
I already had, you know, real big muscles, kind of like, you know, when I was with Metroflex.
Well, and I know when you were at your peak, you were, you know, 24 to 25. I mean, you were like around 24, 25 inches.
Yeah. I remember Leonard Murray had measured them one time on stage, and they were 24.
Yeah, all of 24. But I remember one time we measured them. Somebody, I think we were messing around. We were on the cruise, and a lot of people don't know, and we'll get to that, how we'd go on the cruises together, and you would get up to 300, 310, right around, you know, the end of December, January. We would go out on Caribbean cruise, and your arms would get close to almost 25 inches, 24 and a half, 25. Because everybody would try to hang from your arms. The whole staff would try to come over and line up at the midnight buffet. But going back on this thing, when you are training and getting ready for these shows as a amateur and you're going through it, did you, how many years into your bodybuilding career did you start on the police force?
No. Actually, they started almost the same time. No. About a year later. So I went through training. I went through, we had 3 months of college. It was a school called TCJC. We had our basic training. Then I had another 3 months of in-depth training for the city at the city academy right here in Arlington. And then I went for another 3 months of training on the street with a training officer. And then probably about another month or so later, I was cut loose by myself. So I had from March until November is when I went to Metroflex. So I was almost like maybe 9-10 months in working for the police department, and then I started bodybuilding.
Right, and I
didn't start them at the same time. I didn't start bodybuilding until I finished my training with the police department.
Yeah, and a lot of people didn't believe that you actually got your college degree. I remember the whole thing with the bet I had with Lonnie Teeper, and that you didn't get your degree in accounting. And not only did you finish and get your degree, your bachelor's degree in accounting from Grambling, you played football while doing that, and you graduated cum laude.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And what's crazy about that, and that's like with honors. So when you did that, you couldn't get a job, right? Wasn't that the situation? Because I remember the story. Talk about the story about how you couldn't get your job after that. Because
what happened was everywhere I went, they want you to have experience. And I can't get no experience or get no job. So I immediately took a job at Domino's Pizza because they were hiring, and I had a car note coming up real soon. So I needed to work bad. So I said, I'll work for Domino's, and I'll just still apply at all these, Big 8, Big 10 firms here. So that's what I did. The whole time I was working for Domino's, which is about 2 years, I was looking for jobs every week in the newspaper. And I went on a lot of interviews. Like I would probably did like 2 or 3 a month sometimes for about almost 2 years. And, after a while.
So what'd you do for work during that time?
I worked full time at Domino's, actually. Yeah. So I was working full time at Domino's.
What about the paper route?
Well, yeah. That's another story. I had so much trouble trying to pay all my bills because I had rent, car note, insurance, all this stuff. And working at Domino's, that ain't gonna cut it. So I had to get another job, and a buddy of mine who worked for Domino's said, "Hey, I got this paper route and I need some help." I'm like, "Well, I need some money, so I'm your help." So he gave me a couple of days of his paper route. So I would get off of work at Domino's at 3 a.m, go straight to my paper route and, put them in bags and just throw them for probably like 2-3 hours, something like that, depending on how many papers we had for that day.
Were you on a bicycle or were you walking?
No, I was in a car. It's like 3 a.m. I'm just driving all over the city of Dallas, Dallas is pretty big.
It's
you
huge.
ain't gonna do that on a bicycle. I mean, you could, but it take you all morning,
So at the time you graduated already college and you got to be like what, 22, 23 at the time?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
So you're 22, 23 at the time. You're not a police officer yet because you haven't even gone down that road. You're working, doing basically a paper route while working full time at Domino's Pizza.
Yeah.
And trading those guys at Taco Bell for the Domino's Pizza.
Yeah, that's another story. What happened was I ate pizza every single day because I worked 6-7 days a week at Domino's. You know, it's hard work when you delivering pizzas and stuff. And so I would eat pizza because I couldn't afford to buy food. That's why I got the second job. So I would eat pizza every single day. Well, after like a year and a half or so of eating pizza, you pretty much can't take it no more. So I lived in there was like a food court around me. Like they had Taco Bell, Kentucky Fried Chicken, Burger King, all these restaurants. So I would call, Taco Bell or Burger King or whoever was open and whoever I felt like eating at the time and say, hey, y'all tired of eating chicken? And they were like, yeah. I'm like, y'all want to trade chicken for pizza? They were like, yeah. So I would trade, pizza for chicken. When I got tired of chicken, I did the same thing at Taco Bell, and I got tired of them, and I'll go Burger King. So, yeah, so that's that story.
Well, you got to be innovative because, it's one of those things where I know you were trying to pay off debt. I guess, did you have student loans when you got out?
No, I had student loans. I had like $10,000 worth of student loan. I didn't have a scholarship, like most of those guys did that I played on the team with, because I kind of like walked on the team and started, and I still didn't get a scholarship. I just because I had grants and I had Pell grants. Then I had to just make up for it and just get a little money from my student loan. I had to borrow that much money, but back then in those days we had grants from the government because if you lived in a low income family, and the government paid most of your college education. So I didn't even worry about the scholarship since I was getting that grant, and then I had to borrow a little bit of money for finish up paying for my education by getting that money from that student loan.
So you were able to do that. And then when you didn't get the accounting job, again, you just decided I think it was somebody that basically told you about the positions that were opening for hiring for police officers, right?
No, I'm gonna tell you what happened. Every week I would get the Sunday paper, and they had this big old classified ads for jobs, and the police department had the biggest one there. I mean, it'd be like almost half the page, most of the page anyway. And they were always hiring. They always said no experience needed. When I first saw that, going into it, like the first year of looking for a job in accounting, I'm like, oh, hell no, I ain't never worked for no police department. But the more time went by and the more rejections I got, about a year and a half into it, I'm like, man, that police department's starting to look pretty good. And then one day, out of the blue, a buddy of mine who worked at Domino's was like, man, you need to try to get on with the police department. They hiring officers everywhere, in this city, in these cities here. I'm like, yeah, I might need to do that because I ain't getting nowhere with this, accounting thing. All they wanted is you to have some kind of, experience or something. And that's what I did. After like almost 2 years of working with Domino's, I finally gave up on trying to find a job in accounting because I went on so many interviews, because, my degree and the fact that I graduated with honors, that got me in the door. As soon as they saw a big old black guy walking there in that big old suit with them big shoulders and them big arms, they're like, oh, no.
They're waiting for a nerd.
Looking for a nerd.
They're looking for a nerd with some glasses.
Yeah, they ain't looking for nobody like me. But I finally gave up. After almost 2 years of going to all those interviews and getting turned down on every last one of them. So I gave up and started applying for the police department.
And you applied for that, and that obviously worked out right away.
Well, initially it didn't really, because I couldn't pass that test. That test was a little bit harder than I thought it was going to be. The first one I failed, and by like 2 or 3 points or something.
Was that the physical test or was it the written test?
The written test. Yeah, you got to take the written test first, and then they give you a physical agility test. But the first one I failed by a couple points, so I didn't even get a chance to take the physical test. And then the second one, man, I don't know why and where it came from, but in the middle of taking the test, I had to go to the bathroom. And the guy said, "Hey, if you walk out of here, you can't walk back in." I'm like, well, look like I'm gonna be walking out of here because I ain't about to pee right here on myself. So I walked out, went to the bathroom, and went home. And the third one was Arlington. And of course, I passed that one with flying colors and passed the physical agility flying colors and, got hired on.
And then the whole time while you were over there, you were competing. And that's obviously when you were starting to come up, and you eventually won the Olympia while you were still an officer, at least the first couple of Olympias, right?
Yeah, the first 3, I think.
Yeah, that's when you did the video with mitts, and you had to wear the customized bulletproof vest, the whole 9 yards.
Everything was customized. My shirt, my pants, my vest, everything.
Hey, why don't you tell everybody about the story?
City provided everything.
Well, let me ask you this. You had customized, I remember those shorts because, it would get really hot and you guys got to wear the shorts. Did you ever have to do bike patrol?
No, I didn't like bike patrol. I do not like bike patrol. You got to ride that bike all day? Nah, I ain't into that. I'm into riding around in that air-conditioned car. Because in the summertime, it's hot in Texas. And I ain't out there trying to ride no bike with that vest on, too. Because, it's 110 sometimes here, and you got a vest on, you can add another 10 degrees to that.
Well, what did you do?
Vest is super hot.
So when you ended up getting ready for your shows, did they give you a hard time about having to get your meals every 2 or 3 hours, or did they just kind of leave you alone on that?
No, they never gave me a hard time about meals or nothing because I'll just take a break. It only takes 10 minutes to eat a meal, It's only just like, some chicken and some rice or chicken and a small potato. It only takes 10 minutes at most to eat that.
Well, that's because that's you.
I would sit in my car before I went on duty and then would eat,
Uh-huh.
I'd go to the station, check in, get my key to my car and all that and go sit in my car and load up all my equipment. After I get all my equipment loaded up, I eat my third meal and hit the road.
Well,
just like that.
Being that I know
15 minutes,
Being that I know some of the stories, when you used to have to use the bathroom, let's talk about the time where you had to use the bathroom one time and you had to, and you had to find a place and you couldn't. Yeah. What happened with that situation? And the lady was kind of coming out of her house.
Yeah. Shoot, I had so many times where I had to go to the bathroom and ain't no bathroom out there on the roads. So you might just have to pull over to the side of the road and next thing you know, you peeing and somebody walking out their house. Well, you watching your surroundings, so they don't really know what you're doing anyway. They ain't expecting that anyway. So I probably got caught a couple times like that.
What'd you tell the lady when you got caught when you were out in the bushes peeing in her bushes,
I just
man?
said, I thought, did somebody call 911 or something like that? She's like, no, there's nothing going on here. You think fast when you're on your feet sometimes.
I can just picture it now. Hey, lady, get back in the house. I'm looking around for some intruders.
Yeah, man, it's rough out there.
So that whole time, Ron, the whole time you were getting ready for the shows, working around the schedule, eating again. People who get ready for shows know that most people aren't like you. They can't eat in 10 minutes. It takes them a while to eat, 8 ounces of protein and eating a potato or eating some rice. It takes sometimes a half an hour for a regular human being to have a meal. But you can sit down in the car, and we've all seen you do it in all the videos where you have, a can of tuna sitting on on your vest and you're sitting there just shoveling it in your mouth, getting the tuna in there. Yeah. And I'm sure
it takes me 10 minutes, a good 10 minutes to eat every meal.
That's awesome.
Problem at all.
Did you ever have to eat it out of those tuna cans like we all did in the very beginning?
Yeah. I started eating out of tuna can when I first started, working for the police department. So yeah, I just opened my little can, pop top, and eat right there in the car. That only took like 5 minutes.
Those cans are small.
Yeah, those cans are real small.
So going into the, what's going on right now. Congratulations on going on Rogan. That was awesome. Getting to see you on there.
That was a lot of fun too.
Yeah. How is he?
Coolest guy you ever want to meet. Just a normal guy. Real nice guy. Real helpful guy too. He gave me some information about some doctors I could talk to about, getting my back fixed up.
Yeah.
Actually, we called the doctor right then and there.
The stem cell guy, right?
You know what? I didn't get a chance to go see the guy yet because I've been so busy with all this other stuff, I got going on.
Mm-hmm.
So, I got so many people hooking me up with so many different people, man. It's kind of hard to keep up with it all sometimes.
How you feeling right now?
2 or 3 people want me to do stem cells and stuff. So
that's what he said.
Yeah. So I'm gonna probably in the next week here or so, I'm gonna try that for the first time.
How are you feeling right now, man? I know that, you're still going through some pain.
Yeah. I'm still, I got a herniated disc in my upper back that's, real painful. And then I got this bone on bone in my lower back that's real painful. But I'm handling it pretty good. My doctor got me on, good pain medicine and stuff, and we're monitoring it. And he's saying that, once we be able to get this stem cell stuff going, that should, knock a lot of it out the box, and should be real helpful for me.
Well, I know when we spoke after one of your last surgeries, you were in so much pain. I think you told me that you told them to knock you back out again. Yeah.
I was in so much pain, I couldn't breathe. When you're in so much pain, you can't breathe. I mean, that's you can't even describe the level of pain you're in. It's just so painful that you can't catch your breath. And I was like, hey, y'all got to put me back under because I cannot take this. And that's what they did. They put me back under, and, it's just a shot that they give you that knocks you out. And I woke up again, and I felt a whole lot better. But I was still in a lot of pain. I was in a lot of pain still, but they took me to my room, and they were able to hook me up to the IV pain,
IV drip?
Pain pump, yeah, the drip. And then after about an hour or so, it started going down a little bit more.
So
but, it was painful, real painful.
Do you think that when you look back, we all know that you don't have any regrets, right?
No regrets. No. I don't know. If I had this to do all over again, I'd do it the exact same way. I wouldn't change a thing. If you even told me I was going to be paralyzed, I still wouldn't change a thing. Because I am paralyzed pretty much. Ask me. I still ain't been able to walk in, 5 years now? Since 2016.
And I think it's getting worse, right?
Getting worse by the day. My feet are totally numb. My right one is. My left one is halfway totally numb. So I got a little feeling in my left one, but my right one it's all the way numb. I can still drive. I can still feel it a little bit, but for the most part, it's pretty bad.
Are you still driving the Rolls?
Oh, you got a Rolls Royce. You don't drive it every day. I haven't driven the Rolls Royce in probably about 3 months now.
Why is that?
Because I got an Escalade that's real big. My wife got an Escalade that's real big, and both our Escalades sit in front of the garage. And in order for me to drive the Rolls, I got to move one of those Escalades. And as soon as you get in that Escalade, you don't want to get out sometimes. Well, I never do. So, you know, it's just so comfortable. And just to move it out of the way, just to drive another car, it takes a special occasion for that. So I didn't have no real special occasion to drive it lately. So I just been letting it sit up. You know, I've had it for 4 years now. And, you know, you're really excited when you first get it, of course, and you drive it all the time. And then after you had it a while, you kind of like, okay, it's still nice. I still want to drive it sometimes, but not all the time. I'm quite sure if it, you know, if it wasn't being blocked like it is, I'd drive it a lot more. It's just the fact that, you know, it seems like every time I'm getting ready to hit the road to do something, I'm in a hurry. And to be out there trying to move one car to get to another one, I ain't got that time. I ain't got that kind of time. So I've been thinking, man, when is the next time I'm going to drive that car again? And I just really don't know. Because if it ain't one thing, it's another. I wanted to drive it one day this week. It's been raining nonstop here for the last 2 weeks straight.
Wow. Wow, you could send some of that rain to us in California.
Man, yeah. You know, I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm kind of glad it's raining a lot because we didn't get rain for like 2 or 3 weeks here. And you know how bad that is. That's murder on the grass and stuff here. You know, I got a sprinkler system, but you know, it's still kind of bad. Your house shifts all kind of ways and stuff. I've been living in the same house for almost 25 years. I'm quite sure you have too. Mm-hmm. So you know what I'm talking about. And so, you know, some of the doors, you know, on the house won't even open because the house is shifting. I'm like, man, need to get this house to shift back the other way. So after a while, you know, it'll shift back and the door be able to open, but it's just a pain when it don't rain though. You know, it kind of messes everything up. You don't
still have that pool table up over the stairs, do you?
No, I sold it to Gus. He wanted it so bad. He had to have it. So I'm like, and Susan couldn't wait to get rid of it. So I sold it to him, and he's had it ever since. You know, I sold it to him like a couple $100. You know, I bought it I paid $1,500 for it when I bought it brand new. But he wanted it so bad, so I just sold it to him since Susan didn't really want it in the house, and I didn't play it no more. I didn't get on it no more after a while. You know, I used to, when you first get something, you know, you want it all the time. And then after a while, you know, it gets kind of old, so you just don't mess with it no more. Just like when I had that Hummer, you remember?
Yep.
And I won that Hummer for the Arnold. You know, when I first bought it, man, I used to be there all the time. I think you drove it a couple times.
A couple of times. I used to drive it every day when I was there.
Yeah, because I didn't drive it. I never drove it. So after I've had it for like 9 years or so, 10 years, you know, I didn't drive it no more. I quit driving it. And so I just finally sold the thing, you know. And I guess the same thing with that pool table, you know. After a while, it got old and you just don't feel like messing with it no more.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, remember how I ended up buying a pool table because you had a pool table?
Yeah.
Well, my wife got me to get rid of mine, just like Suzanne got here. She was like, "You need to get rid of this thing."
Hey, I know exactly how she feel.
But that speaking of the cars, man, the Rolls Royce, the H1, you won the H1 in the 2001 Arnold Classic. This is back when they were still giving out cars, and then they were giving out the H1s because then they eventually went to the H2 and the H3s or whatever else they started giving away. Then later they didn't give out, you got like maybe a watch or maybe a jacket, but you got the H1 in 01, and you were the only Mr. Olympia to actually do an act, you know, while you're reigning Mr. Olympia, to do an Arnold Classic. And I think the main thing, what was the main reason why you did the Arnold while being Mr. Olympia? Because everybody knows that once you win the Mr. Olympia, you don't do any other shows.
Yeah, you know, the only reason why I did the Arnold is because Mr. Lorman called me and told me they was giving away a Hummer. and I had always wanted one. And I'm like, man, I am not passing up this opportunity to win this Hummer, so I'm doing the Arnold this year. But I've been asked to do it a couple times before, and I turned it down. But this time I didn't.
Yeah, well, you got the $100,000. I think it was like $100,000 check, and then I think it was also the Hummer. And then I remember when you got the Hummer paperwork to fill out, you started checking off all these boxes because you got a bunch of extra stuff done to it. And I remember you got every option on that thing.
Yeah. You know what? I ended up, because the one that they gave me the money for was $106,000, but it was like a truck.
Right.
And when I got to the lot, they showed me what what Arnold had paid for. I'm like, well, how much is one sitting next to it? Because that ain't no truck. That's like a wagon or something. He said, oh, that one's like $8,000 more. I'm like, well, I want that one. And it was like 112 or 115, something like that. Yep. I can write you a check for that. And that's the one I took. I took the wagon. Yeah. Because, it was a lot nicer looking, and I liked the ride a whole lot better on that one. Yeah, so I took that one.
Yeah, and then I remember you got the customized seats because whenever I'd come to your house and stay with you, we would train, and then we would go somewhere, or I'd had to go somewhere, and you'd say, hey, take the H1 because you like to drive the Escalade, and then you'd always give me the H1. And you had all the inside completely customized. You had that amazing stereo system in there. That whole system was awesome. And then you had, what was on the license plate? Humron?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was school bus yellow. And that was a badass truck. That was a badass truck.
And then remember, I think he ended up putting 28-inch wheels on it.
Yes. Yeah. You're a really bad influence because again, I came out there and you said, hey, let's go over to the dealership to pick up, to go to the wheel shop because I'm getting wheels on the Hummer. And I drove your Charger because you had a Charger SRT8. And you're like, hey, drive, let's go. You drive, check out the car. It's really cool. So right after I drive the Charger, I went home and bought one. Right after I drove yours, and you had these wheels that would look like wagon wheels that you put on that H1. And there was I think every rapper in the South was wishing that they had that, that H1.
Wheels were real nice.
Yeah, they were. Yeah. Well, and you're a car aficionado. I mean, dude, you had, you had what'd you have? You had a Viper before. You had a Viper truck. You have all the bikes. Yep. That was a Dodge Ram with a Viper motor.
Yeah. I had the Dodge Ram Viper truck too. Yeah. I had quite a few. I had the S55 AMG, S500. Oh, what else? You talked that Bentley. I think didn't I go riding with you when I came to California and you went to the dealership and they got me to test drive that thing.
Yep.
And I was going around a curve and the guy said, punch it. I'm like, punch it in the curve? So I did. And man, that thing went zoom. I like, oh man, I ain't never seen a car do nothing like this before. I'm getting one of these.
I thought we were going to die, bro. I was in the back seat of that car and I thought we were going to die. We went to the Los Gatos Bentley.
Yeah.
And you're like, you went around the turn and you punched it.
But the guy told me to. And I'm like, okay. I in a curve. Okay. And man, I punched that thing and it handled that curve like it was a straightaway. And I had never drove a car that did that before, It didn't sway or nothing. And I'm like, oh man, this is a nice car I've ever driven. And I went home and bought one.
Yeah, and you remember
because of that.
All because of that.
One test drive.
Yeah.
That you had me to do with that guy. Had I not ever drove it, I would never bought it.
Well, you also don't forget the reason why you bought that car was because it was a gift to yourself because you just signed the biggest deal in bodybuilding.
Right. Yeah. I'd signed the contract with BSN that you had talked them into. and because I didn't believe that they could pay that much, you know, the contract was like $500,000 or something. I'm like, well, how about y'all give me like $100,000 up front for a signing bonus? Because I don't believe y'all can afford no contract like this, you know, because I was just getting ready to sign for Weeder for like $300 or something, you know, They doubled it almost pretty much. And they gave it to me, and I took it right up to that Bentley dealership and put a down payment on that car.
Yeah, I remember you heard a lot of feelings with that contract.
Down on that car. Man.
Well, you ended up coming
a month car note.
What's that?
I said I put that whole $100,000 down on that car and still had a $2,500 a month car note.
Did you? I thought you ended up paying I think you ended up paying that car off eventually too.
I think
after 6 years, I think I financed for 6 years, 5 or 6. And I paid it off and I kept it for another couple of years and sold it.
How'd you like that car?
Huh?
Did you like that car?
Best car ever. Second best car ever. First car ever. Best car ever is Rolls Royce.
Rolls Royce. Yeah.
Car could get better than a Bentley until I drove that one.
Well, the Bentley's a little bit more sporty, where the Rolls Royce is more luxury. It's a more luxurious ride.
Yeah, and smooth. The smoothest car you're going to ever drive in your life.
Hey, do you remember when we got back from the test drive, the Bentley, what happened with the NO, with your pre-workout when with the NO explode on the back bumper of that car?
Yeah, I think I shook it up and it exploded, didn't it? I forgot all about that. Yeah, I remember now. Because I didn't know it did that, you know, because I was used to just drinking a drink with, you know.
With a spoon.
Stirring it or something. And this time I decided that I was going to shake it up. And I shook it up and it exploded everywhere on that car.
Well, we just got back from the dealership test drive and I get out and Ronnie says, "Hey man, don't tell the sales guy to come back here behind the car." I'm like, "Why?" He's like, "I'll tell you later. And so I'm like, "Okay, great." And you had said that you were mixing it up because we were going to go train legs at Gold's in Campbell, here in Campbell. We were going to go train. And you turned around and you shook that thing up and then it exploded all over. And then you told me, "Hey man, keep the guy away from the back of the car." And then I went and told the detail guy that worked there. I said, "Hey man, you need to go clean up the back of that car." It was on the inside. It was just on the outside, but it went everywhere. It was.
Yep, you did.
Oh, that was hilarious. Well, and then we ended up, what was cool is that you were able to kind of put that as a, kind of like a prize to yourself, but then you ended up getting your mom a new car and you got her a new house.
Brand new house. Then I bought a brand new Lexus. I think it was back then, it was a Lexus 360 or something. You know, so they changed the numbers every year.
Right.
So the last one I bought was a 460 or something like that. And I think they all the way up to 500 now, you know. But
happy.
I bought my mom a brand new house and a brand new car.
That's awesome. And you told me you were going to I said, "Are you going to get a new house, Ronnie?" And what did you tell me when I asked you if you're going to get a new house?
No.
You said they're going to bury me in this house.
Yeah, man. Shoot. I couldn't picture myself moving out of here, moving all this stuff. I got that gym, and you know, when they moved that stuff in here, they brought it in with this special equipment, you know. Mm-hmm. And just to try to move all that stuff out, them 200-pound dumbbell, oh man, them 190 pounds, 180 pounds. I mean, it takes a year to move all this stuff.
Yeah, but now you're lucky you have it because you have your own gym. Well, now the good thing is with COVID and the situation that's going on, you have your own gym, which is great because you have the ability to actually train. But I do see you still go to Metroflex now. You're back in there too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I still go to Metroflex and train. But, that's the reason why I bought that gym, because sometimes you don't really feel like going to the gym. And then after me winning all those Olympias, every time I go to the gym, somebody would be wanting me to take pictures with them and all that. And I'm trying to get ready for the Olympia. I'm like, man, I got time for all of this. So, after I built the gym here, instead of me going to Metroflex, I would just train here for the Olympia. So I wouldn't be bothered, and take me a lot less time.
Right.
Save time on gas, save time on everything.
Yeah, and you like to train late anyways. And that was also...
Yeah, well, back in those days, I trained around about 2, 3 in the afternoon. And then my first cardio session was 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock in the morning time. And my last session would be like 1, 2 in the morning. Yeah,
so you would have the ability to be able to do that. And going back to the competitive nature, because I wanted to talk to you about that. What do you think was your toughest Olympia? I mean, a lot of people would say Jay in 01, that was the closest?
No, yeah. That was the closest one, and that was the toughest one too. I just did the Arnold Classic. And, I didn't know at this time that the body only peaked once a year because I was just doing Olympia every year. And, I ain't had no reason to know that the body would only just peak once a year. Well, in 2001, when I did the Arnold Classic, I peaked there because they said that was some of the best condition I had ever had in my whole entire competitive career. So when I got ready for the Olympia, I started noticing that my body wasn't coming in the way that I wanted it to come in, I didn't get as hard as I wanted to at a certain point. And then when I did start getting hard, it was hard for me to I was trying to do like 2 hours of cardio a day. Well, about 45 minutes into it, I'm exhausted. I can't even go anymore. So what I would do was just hold on for the last 15 minutes and finish up like that. I never had that problem before where I just had to hold on and couldn't finish it. So when I get to the show, they had me doing all this, media work. They had me doing a radio interview, had to do some TV interviews, had to do some photo shoots for some people. And man, I'm exhausted. I'm already, tired from trying to get my body to peak like twice a year. So I did all this, all these interviews, all these photo shoots and all this stuff. By the time it came for me to do the show, I'm totally exhausted to the point that I can't even get out of bed that morning for the show. So I called Chad and I'm like, look, Chad, dude, I feel like I'm about to die. I'm exhausted. I can't get out of bed. I'm going to the hospital. He's like, no, man, don't do that. You don't work too hard, to do something like that, He said, all you got to do is just grab a gallon of water and just chug as much of it as you can. So that's what I did. I grabbed a gallon of water. And I pretty much drank the whole thing.
No, you drank the whole thing because I was there when you drank it. I was there with Alti. Yep.
I'm holding water. Mm-hmm. So, I got to do the show anyway. Because, at least I'm able to get out of bed now and do something. Whereas before, I didn't even have the energy to do that. But after I drank that water, I felt a whole like 100% better. I get out of bed, I had my energy back and everything, but I was holding water. You can't get rid of water, a gallon of it that quick, because the morning show was like maybe 2 hours away.
Right. So back then, guys, just to give you guys clarity into the story, what the Olympia used to be is all in one day. So the morning prejudging was around 11 a.m. noon. Then the night show was 7 hours, 8 hours later. 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock would be the night show. Ronnie's, put things in context, Ronnie's girlfriend at the time, Alti Batista IFBB Pro, I was training her. So she had called me trying to get a hold of Chad and said, can you come by? Ronnie fell in the bathtub.
You know what? Wait a minute. That was the night before.
Oh, okay.
She was putting on my protein and I fainted.
That's right.
I left that part out. Yeah, I left that part out. It was the night before. She was putting on my protein in the bathroom.
Right.
And of course, the bathtub was right behind us. So we were sitting. I was standing right in front of the bathtub. You know, and somewhere along the way, while she put my protein on, I fainted and I fell backwards into the bathtub.
Yes.
And I think that's what she called you.
Yes, she called me.
I was out. I had been, doing all those interviews, photo shoots and all that kind of stuff leading up to it. And man, I was just out of it the night before.
Yes. Yeah.
That's why I couldn't get out of bed the next morning. Yeah, I couldn't get out of bed the next morning. I was totally exhausted. You know, I was just exhausted that night. But the next morning, I was totally exhausted. Where I couldn't even get out of bed. I was so tired.
Yep. You hadn't slept in days because they had you in your room. Every time I'd go by, they were doing video shoots literally all day long and interviews. And I think Joe was still alive back then. And I think they were doing it for Joe Weider. And
so I couldn't turn it down because, I was under contract for all this stuff. And I couldn't turn down the interviews either because, like I said, I was on the contract for Weider, and the Olympia was called what? Joe Weider's Olympia. So I had to do it for Joe Weider because he had me under this I signed for 6 years with him.
Yes.
Multi-year contract, 6-year contract. So, I had to do all this stuff. And I couldn't turn it down.
Yeah. And when the next day, when you didn't get up, then again, Alti called me, trying to get a hold of Chad. And then when you got on the phone with Chad,
just to the hospital.
Yeah, I remember.
That was a scary thing I've been through right there. That was the hardest Olympia ever. Because I went from not going to do it to doing it. When I say I wasn't going to do it, I didn't care. Because I actually felt like I was dying. I don't know if anybody else ever been exhausted before, but that's what it feels like. I used to hear people say that, and I'm like, they was exhausted. What does that mean? How they feel like they dying, they exhausted until it happened to you. That's when you realize how bad it feels.
Well, like I said, I was there, and I saw you get off the phone with Chad, and then what you did was you got a gallon of water. You opened it up and you literally drank it like it was a cup of coffee or a cup of like if it was like a little 12-ounce water. You drank the whole thing and literally you came alive. And then you had people outside the front door of your room, because that was back when it was at the Mandalay Bay, and you had them having to walk you down to the backstage.
Yep, exactly. But it was a long walk from that, your room to that stage.
And they were waiting, and you just finished your water. And, most people are, you're sipping water, you've cut your water way back. And he just got done drinking a whole gallon of water, every last drop of it in literally like 30 seconds. You had just drank all that water. And then it was close during prejudging, because prejudging was literally 2 hours later. You and Jay were battling it out, and Jake.
I lost the prejudging. I lost the prejudging that year. Yeah.
Right.
I think he was ahead by 1 point going into the night show.
That's right.
And then,
that's right.
And I think I came back at the night show.
You did. You came back drier at the night show.
Yeah, exactly. So after the show, man, I think we hit so many diuretics. I don't know how many we did. And I think I know I lost that whole gallon of water between the break, you know, that we had from the morning show to the night show, from all those diuretics. You know, Chad never tell you what he giving you. He just put powder in a cup and say, drink this. I'm like, okay. To this day, I still don't know what it was. I'm just guessing it had some type of diuretic too, because he never told me. But I know it worked like magic.
How many minutes afterwards would you start peeing?
Man, like 10, 15 minutes afterwards. And you go every 15 to 20 minutes to the bathroom for like 2-3 hours straight.
Yeah, you definitely dried out.
That's a lot of peeing, yeah. That's a lot of going to the bathroom. A whole lot.
And then that night,
that's what we had to do, you know.
were you thinking that night that you were going to win, or did you think that, were you worried that you were going to lose that night?
No. After I saw that I got rid of all that water, I'm like, okay, I'm back now. So I should win this thing. But I still getting pictures now. That morning I was holding our water. But at night, you know, I was back to myself again, back to my normal self. But it took, like I said, a whole lot of something, directs or something that he gave me to get rid of all that water I had to drink, you know. But, you know, it worked. It got me back to where I needed to be. So I'm thinking, you know, okay, I got a chance now.
So that's why you're asking me for water.
Well, and I know right after that, you remember what we talked about right after you won, and we ended up going back to the room, and you wanted to always go. Where did we go eat? Where do we always go eat after the Olympia?
Same place, McDonald's. We had pizza.
That's right. Because you see, Ronnie, what people don't understand is it was a tradition that Ronnie always said, "Hey, Hany, make sure there's like 10 pizzas in the room." And, you know, like for the family, because Ronnie's family's big. And then they would all come to the room, and they would always have a prayer before prejudging. And then afterwards they celebrate as a family. So they would, you know, Ronnie would do Dom Perignon and pizza.
Yeah. 15 bottles.
Right. And was it 15 bottles of Dom Perignon?
Yep.
And you would do that. And then next thing you know, you're asking me, "Hey man, get ready to go. We got to go. Tell everybody we got to go." I'm like, "Where do you want to go?" And where did you want to go? That's right. He always had a craving to go to McDonald's in the middle of the night after the Olympia. Oh, do I remember?
Yeah.
To the strip club.
Who all went?
It would be me, you, Alti, whoever I was dating at the time. and then also the last year you won, we brought Phil with us.
Yeah, it'd be my mom.
Oh, that's right.
And the whole rest of the family.
The whole family would meet us.
Everybody would go. We rented those two big stretch limousines.
That's right. That's right.
And every time we walked out, the sun was coming up.
Yeah.
And I had to do the seminar that same morning, so I would get no sleep. I get to the room, I had to change and go straight to the seminar.
You would go to the seminar? Yeah, I don't know how you do it, man. Like, you were exhausted.
Had too much adrenaline flowing. I couldn't sleep anyway. I could never sleep. I never slept after neither Olympia. I never slept. Every time I won, I had too much adrenaline flowing, and I couldn't sleep. So I do that same routine. And, you know, like I said, by the time we left the strip club, the sun was coming up. So I had to go immediately to the room, change, and go straight to the seminar. every Olympia that I won. Did Phil sleep after Olympia, you remember?
Yeah, you know what? Phil would. Okay, so the last year you won, Phil came with us, and Phil was kind of like, "Is he really going to stay up all night?" I'm like, "Dude, this is what he does." And Phil said to me, he goes, "Well, what about his seminar? He's not going to go?" I'm like, "Yeah." he's like, well, what about the photo shoot he has to do after that? And he goes, yeah, he does that too. He don't care. Like he was just kind of blown away because when we would walk out of the strip club at 7 a.m. and Phil be like, why are you bringing your sunglasses? I said, you'll see because you're going to need them later.
Yep.
Because in Vegas, it was so hot in Vegas.
Exactly. It's so hot. Yeah.
And we would walk out and it's so bright. And
that sun hit you right in the face.
Yeah. And Phil was just kind of blown away by the whole thing. And he's like, I think he saw the whole thing and he's like, man, this is cool.
Yep. Same routine every year.
That's right. And
did that even when I lost that year.
Yep.
Kept the same one.
Yep.
And I think at the end of the day, what the cool thing is that the Olympias back then were, you know, a little bit later. They were like in October back then. And then what we would do is we would always plan a trip because you talked me into going on a cruise because I'd never been on a cruise before. And you said, hey, bro, you know, you got to do is you got to shut it down because you can't keep working like this. And I would call Ronnie and I would be complaining because I was coming up and I was training people and they would, somebody on getbig.com would say something about me. And you're like, bro, worry when they don't talk about you. Don't worry about when they're talking shit. Worry about when they stop talking about you. And and by the way, you need to take a break. You need to come with me and we need to go on a cruise because like, get your girl, I'll get my girl. We're going to go on a cruise. And I'm like, man, I don't know if I trust those boats. And you're like, man, this is the best thing ever.
Yep.
And we went on that cruise. We went on a cruise right after you signed that BSN deal. And you said, go get the best room.
Yep.
And get the best, get a great, like, get a, you know, great venue. Like we always do the Eastern or the Western Caribbean, sometimes the Southern Caribbean. Cause we've been on like, well, I don't know, like four or five cruises together. And it was always a blast because we'd always go for a week. And what ended up happening was like, again, I had no idea how good of a fun cruise is going to be. And you said, man, don't get those regular rooms, man. Get us some suites. And I said, okay, well, I'll get myself a suite. But and I was like, I'll get a junior suite and I'm going to get the Ronnie Coleman suite for you. And you ended up going, remember how big that room was?
Yeah. Biggest room ever. I didn't know cruise ships had rooms that big. It had double doors. It was so big. And when you go into it, it was almost like an apartment.
Yeah.
Because it had that big old front room, you know, living room, dining room area too. But they had a big screen TV in there, like 6 to 7 inch TV. And back then, you know, the TV wasn't a wall TV. It was this big old blocky thing. A giant monument or something. So then it had these 3 posts in there, inside the in the room. They had these big old 3 posts in there. And then hooked up to the TV was a big old sound system. And then you had this radio that was hooked up to the sound system. This big radio hooked up to the sound system. And then you go back to the next room and there was this big old bathroom. Like when I say big, it was huge. And then you go to the next room and it was the bedroom. Big bedroom, not like those small bedrooms you have on like a junior suite. This was a huge bedroom with like the king size bed and dressers, drawers, and all that kind of stuff in there, mirrors. And then before you get to the bedroom, there was this big hallway, huge hallway that you go in before you get to the bedroom. So this was by far the biggest room ever. It was like presidential type suite or something.
It had a piano.
I haven't seen one like that.
And you've been on a lot of cruises since then. You ever see a room like that?
Go to cruise every year. And nobody, well, that was Princess, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. It was Princess Cruise.
We always do Carnival, you know, and what's that other one? I forget the other name of the cruise ship. Royal Caribbean. And they neither one of them have that.
Yeah. Well, it was what we ended up having that room, and we ended up getting a really good deal on it because somebody ended up recognizing when I was holding the rooms, and they're like, "Oh, this is for Ronnie Coleman. Well, we're going to try to give him an upgrade." I was like, "Awesome," because I took the junior suite right next to you, and then you were like, "I got this for this kind of price," and I said, "Yeah," and you're like, "Man, you got to book all the rooms."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that by far, like I said, that was the biggest room ever. I ain't never seen a room that, like I said, that had double doors, and it's like an apartment, you know, especially with that big living room in there.
And yeah, the piano. Don't forget the piano.
Yeah, it had piano, sofa, love seat. I mean, chair, everything. I mean, this was like I said, like an apartment.
Yeah. Oh, I think Alti was trying to steal the faucet because it was made out of gold.
Yeah, that thing was super nice. Super nice. Never seen anything like that again.
Well, what that taught me was that when you go out of your way and you accomplish something, you do something to be able to give yourself a reward, whether it's getting a nice car, whether it's, you know, after winning the Olympia, we went and did that. And I had a great year that year as well, you know, coming up. And what was really, it really taught me that you have to take those breaks. And you also, going back to the bodybuilding portion of it, people don't realize that you would take how long after Olympia did you stop training?
3 months. I take 3 months off every year.
3 months.
After every Olympia.
And that's no training at all, guys. None.
No cardio, no nothing. And, you know, still kept my size and everything. But, yeah, I didn't train or nothing. Didn't diet or nothing.
Yep. 3 months, guys. No training, no diet. He'd eat what he wanted to eat. I mean, you still eat pretty healthy, but you just would.
Yeah, there's only so much junk food you can eat.
Yeah.
You know, you right back to the regular stuff, you know.
Yeah, you do what was your favorite cheat meals? IHOP? You like to do your IHOP?
No, back in those days, it was Black Eyed Peas, I think. 'Cause I went there twice a day. And, you know, I always had grilled chicken with corn and red beans and rice with a lot of cornbread.
Right. And then at night, it was always Outback.
Outback, yeah. Well, I had the steak, the filet mignon with the french fries.
And a baked potato.
And a baked potato.
Yeah. But when you come to my house, you'd always want me to take you to the IHOP because
yeah, I ate the IHOP for breakfast. But see, you know, when I was home, my mom would come by and cook my breakfast every morning. Pancakes and, you know, eggs and, you know, beef.
Yeah.
Patty, whatever. Yeah.
Do you remember?
She came over every morning to cook for me.
Yeah, because your mom would come over, and when I would come over and stay at your house, she would bring over that hummingbird cake, and that hummingbird cake was the absolute best cake ever. And I still don't even know what the hell is in it, but I was trying to get it from Tina, your sister. I was like, what the hell? Like, what's in that? Because it was so amazing. But your mom would always knew that I liked it. So whenever I was staying at your house, she would always bring over that cake for us.
Yeah. Yeah, that cake was, I mean, everything my mom made was off the chain, though.
Yeah, God bless her soul.
Yeah. But for sure.
Yeah. Well, and then on top of that, the biggest, other thing that I was blown away by was that when we would go all around the world, it didn't matter what time of day we would get somewhere, you'd always train. And
that was always the first thing I did, actually.
Yep, literally getting off the plane.
I got off the airplane, look for a gym. Always the first thing I did.
Yeah, when we would travel, and what a lot of people might not know is the fact that when Ronnie signed the deal with BSN, not 6 months, 9 months afterwards, I started consulting for BSN, and I would travel with Ronnie, with you all around the world. So I would put an international tour together, and I was consulting for BSN, and we would go to Europe. We would go to Brazil. We went to England. We went all over. And the first thing that he would always want to do, we come off a 12-hour flight, 14-hour flight. It didn't even matter.
Yep.
Straight to the gym.
Straight to the gym, always.
Didn't even matter. And you remember when we went to Brazil and we had the bodyguard?
Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah, we had some really, really good times, but
really nice.
We had some good times out there.
Oh yeah.
Hey, one other thing I want to talk about is also like all the guys that you competed against, man. Like your relationship with Flex Wheeler that a lot of people I don't think know about, and I obviously there's a lot of information that I know just because we're close, but I don't think that people realize like how close you and Flex are.
Yeah. Me and Flex has always been pretty close. I remember the first time I met him back at the Nationals in 1990. He was real cool, real cool dude to me then. I just met him and spoke to him. I didn't get a chance to talk to him, but I just remember meeting him. He was real cool. And then, of course, I turned pro first, and then he turned pro like the next year. I think I turned pro in 91. 91, he turned in 92 or 93, somewhere in there. And I remember, I was doing real bad, in a lot of shows, and Flex was winning every show he entered. And I'm like, man, I need to go have a talk with this dude, see what he was, see how he was winning all these shows. So that's what I did, I just knocked on his door one night. We was in France, doing the Paris Grand Prix or whatever. I'm like, dude, how are you winning all these shows? And I'm up here, I'm struggling. I'm getting 5th, 6th, 7th, just about in every show. You getting first in every show you doing. He's like, well, if you want to be one of the big dogs, you got to get on the porch. I mean, I'm like, what do you mean like that? He's like, well, what are you taking, I'm like, well, I'm taking, little vitamin A and B and C and D. He's like, no, dude. He's like, that ain't gonna cut it. He's like, you need to be on some, vitamin K and vitamin X and G. I'm like, well, dude, I can't get a hold of all that kind of stuff. Where'd I get all this stuff? He's like, oh, I got somebody I could deal with. I'm like, oh, okay. So he gave me this guy's name to call, and so I called the guy, and he gave me everything Flex told me to take. And the next show I entered, I won. I'm like, man, I can't believe this dude gave me all this information like that. And me and him doing the same thing, and he got this competitive edge, but yet he's still willing to, help me out. I like, okay, I really owe this dude, a lot of gratitude. And then I never forget, I was getting ready for the Olympia in 1998, and I talked to Flex, one day on the phone. I'm like, man, you still knocking them down over there. I see. I'm like, who you working with to help you do all your diet stuff? 'Cause my guy is not that good. He's like, oh, I'm working with a guy named Chad Nichols. I'm like, Chad Nichols? I ain't never heard of him. He's like, you need to call him. I'm like, I do? He's like, yep, he'll help you get where you need to be. So I'm like, okay, well, give me his number, I'll call him. So Fred gave me his number, I called him, and he didn't even pick up the phone. And then I left a message, he didn't even call me back. So I'm waiting a couple of days, waiting on Chad to call. He never called me back. So I called Flex. I'm like, Flex, why you giving this dude name and number and stuff, and he didn't call me. Didn't call me back or nothing. I thought I left a message. He's like, oh, man, you just need to call him again. He's just busy like that. So I called Chad. I called Chad that same day. And this time I left a message, and he called me back late on that day. And I like, hey man, I need you to help me get ready for this. I had the Night of Champions and the Toronto Pro Show coming up that year.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, yeah, I help you with those. So I won both of those shows with his his advice, and everything. And then like, well, I got a better plan for you for the Olympia. The year before in '97, I got like ninth. Never placed in the top 5 or nothing. So they're like, well, I can get you there. I'm like, oh, okay. So he wrote out this big old plan for me. I'll never forget it, man. He had me eating all this food, doing all this cardio. I never did no more than like 45 minutes cardio a day. He had me doing 2 hours a day.
Right.
Eating like, he had me on 16 ounces of chicken. Well, I would normally like 10, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, man, I cannot eat all this food. But if he say that, it's going to help me get where I need to be, I'm going to do it. And I was just stuffing myself, Even after I got full, I would just keep eating. And, man, I just put on so much exercise. And I'm like, man, this dude was right. I'm like, I didn't know eating all this food could make you get all this big. I thought it was from, other stuff you had, stuff you had to take to get big like that. But no, it was eating all that food, And I went from eating like 5 times a day to eating 6 times. And just that one meal made the biggest difference ever.
Well, you also increased your amount of food too per meal.
Yeah. I was eating, like I said, 10 ounces of chicken, and like maybe a 12-ounce potato or something like that. Well, he kind of like doubled all that stuff. And I put on a lot of sides and everything. Got harder, Because like I said, I was just doing only like 45 minutes of cardio a day. He had me doing 2 hours. And I'm like, whoa, that's a lot of cardio.
Yeah.
I did it, and I ate all that food. And, man, it was hard when I first started, like the first 4 or 5 weeks. I mean, I caught hell stuffing myself. But after that, my body kind of got used to it, and I was able to do it. But it was real hard in the beginning.
Yeah.
And I went to the Olympia and won, all because of Flex, hooking me up with this dude. And I'm like, oh, man, I would just do everything.
Well, I know you helped him out too when he was having some problems. I know you helped him out too.
Yeah. I didn't hesitate when he was having problems. He came to me and said, hey, man, I need you to co-sign with this car. I'm like, dude, no problem. Just come on down and we'll get it done. So, he did and I did. And we've been tight ever since. We've been good friends ever since.
Yeah. Same kind of story with Kevin Levrone to a degree. I remember that whole situation where you guys were in Russia and he was, and you were trying to figure out how to dry out.
Yeah. That was in '97. Yeah. Late '97. We had 7 shows in 11 days. I'm getting my butt kicked. I'm getting like 4th, 5th, and 6th every show. And Kevin is winning every show. And I'm like, man, I need to do what I did to Flex. I need to do that with Kevin. So one night I just went to Kevin's room, like, hey man, what are you doing to win all these shows like this? I'm getting my butt whooped every night. You just win them like it ain't nothing. I mean, you done won 6 shows in a row. And I done got like 4th, 5th, and 6th every show, because it'd be different dudes every city we went to. So Kevin like, man, you want to know what I'm doing? I'm like, yeah, dude. So he took me over to the coffee maker. He had his room, and he poured me a cup of coffee from the coffee maker. I'm like, oh, okay, I like coffee. I can drink coffee. But then he grabbed a bottle of vodka out of the refrigerator. I'm like, what the hell are they going to do with that vodka?
This is in the hotel room.
The vodka and the coffee. I've never in my whole life drank vodka. I don't drink beer. I don't drink vodka. I didn't even drink at all back in those days. Yeah. Nothing. Yeah, And he trying to get me to drink this vodka. And I'm like, dude, I can't drink. I ain't never drank before. Like, oh man, you want to know what I'm doing? Well, this is what I'm doing. And I thought to myself, I'm like, well, if it worked for him, it got to work for me. So I took it, man. I drank that whole cup, and I think I drank a couple more after that. I went to the room feeling kind of good. Went to sleep. You know, I think I woke up probably like every hour on the hour going to the bathroom, though. But I woke up that next morning, man, I looked pretty good. I went to the show and beat Kevin.
So the night before the show, he told you to drink vodka and coffee.
Yeah.
And how those little vodkas in the hotel room?
Bottles, yeah. Not a big, you know.
Yeah, not a big bottle, but just the little ones that are in the hotel room in the little fridge.
Yeah, in that snack bar.
How many of those do you think you drank?
Shoot, maybe about 3 or 4.
3 or 4. With how much coffee?
Shoot, about 3 or 4 cups.
And then you went to bed.
Yeah, went to bed. Like I said, people was going to the bathroom just about every hour.
Then you woke up and you won.
But the next morning, I looked pretty good. I was shredded.
Well, for you to beat Kevin.
Oh, and beat Kevin, huh?
Was Kevin second?
Kevin was second, yeah. He had won 6 in a row. And this would have been, he would broke some kind of record, you know, with 7 shows in a row, you know, 7 first place. Because, you know, nobody never won 7 in a row like that. Because we did this tour every year, you know. Every year was, you know, like that, like 6, 7 shows on the tour. You know, it was easy money, you know, you go to show. And it was after the Olympia, too, you know, so you're still in good shape, you know, you just making extra money. Well, like I said, nobody never won 7, you know, like that before. But Kevin, he would have won 7 had he not told me to drink that coffee and that vodka. Because I was, like I said, I was getting like 5th and 6th. Every now and then I get like a 4th place. But I could not get my body to get rid of no water or nothing because I did the Olympia. And I was just holding all this water, and I couldn't get rid of it for nothing. No matter how many diuretics or what I took, it just wasn't working. Kevin was like, man, drink this vodka and this coffee, and you get rid of it. And I did. And shoot, like I said, I woke up that next morning, man, I was shredded.
And that day, did he ever beat you after that?
I don't think he ever beat me again after that. I think he beat me in 1 show, maybe. Because I remember we had like a show in San Francisco the next year. And he beat me. And then the next show, I beat him. So that's when I started working with Chad, you know. Uh-huh. And Chad was working with me for that show. And he worked with me for the Night of Champion and then the Olympia.
And you started winning everything after that.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow. So the story goes, God, we got to ask Kevin, man. We got to get Kevin on here. We got to ask him.
Kevin tell you the story. I don't remember how much I drank. I know it was a lot, you know, because he kept giving me drinks and said, this what you got to do to win. I'm like, okay, Kevin.
So he was sponsored by Grey Goose.
He wanted me to do better. Because like I said, he would have broke a record had he won that 7-1, you know. But me and Kevin been real close after that. Man, all the guys were pretty cool back in those days. I hear they're not like that now, you know.
Right.
You know, all this animosity between one another. You know, everybody was real friendly back then. You know, we everybody tried to help everybody. I remember we'd be on tours and stuff. Mm-hmm. And guys we would go to their hometown. They would cook food for us, man. They would take us to their gym. They'd be in the show, you know, and they would cook food for us. They would let us work out at their gym. They do everything they could for you. And that's how we survived back in those days. Everybody helped everybody out, you know. It was a lot of camaraderie between competitors. You know,
those tours were great because you would do
judging, you know. They gonna pick the best guy, you know.
Right.
And it's up to us to do the best we could.
And back then, with those tours, you would do like 7 or 10 shows or like that, all within like 2 weeks, right?
2 weeks, yeah. No, 7 shows in 11 days. It's less than 2 weeks.
Wow. think about that?
7
guys?
shows in 11 days. It was grueling.
And you take the bus?
My body was so exhausted those last like 3 shows.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't sleep. I was so exhausted. I could not get my body to fall asleep until I drank that vodka. I mean, you know, that's a lot of travel. You're doing a show, you know.
You're jet lagged.
Go to your room and you eat. You get a chance to eat, and you got to get on the plane in like 3 hours. So you get like 2 hours sleep. And it was like that show after show after show. So it was show back to back. And then you have like a day in between, like after you did like 3 shows, you have 1 day to rest or whatever. And then, you know, back to back again. Then maybe a day to rest. And then back to back. Ooh, it was rough, man.
Well,
like
you guys,
those last 3 days, I didn't know that, you know, your body could get so exhausted where it couldn't sleep until, you know, I did the European tour.
well, you
I
guys,
could not fall asleep. I was so exhausted.
I mean, most people only like to do 1 or 2 shows a year now.
Exactly.
you know,
7, you know, in 11 days, shoot.
yeah.
By the
and-
time they got to that 3rd show, they be done. Oh, no, we got 4, 5 more shows to do. Dude, where you going? I'm going home. Yeah, they be done. Trust me. It was rough, man. I ain't gonna lie to you. It was rough. It was rough on me. So I know with these crop of guys that get these group of guys that got now, shoot, no, they couldn't do nothing like that.
What do you think about these guys now? Like, I mean, with social media and everything else, what are your thoughts? Because I know that, you know,
Hey, like I told you, there's no camaraderie or nothing hard. They don't seem like, you know, nobody's really hungry, you know. They don't seem like nobody's really like we were hungry back in the day. I mean, everybody was hard and everybody was focused, determined, and dedicated. These guys seem like they get to the show and they just whatever, you know. We good enough to do the show, you know, and I just don't seem like they like hungry and dedicated like we were, and they don't seem like they get as hard as we were either, you know, all because of that. And I guess, you know, it's like one guy see another guy looking, you know, his best, and he's like, well, that's the best he gonna look. This is the best I'm gonna look too. So everybody's like almost the same condition,
right?
And the condition is not that good. Not good at all.
Well, you just think that it's just because they're cheating on their diet or just don't want to do the extra cardio or a little bit of all of it?
All of it. Everything you just said, they're doing a little bit of everything. Not doing a little bit of everything.
Cutting corners.
Huh?
A lot of them cutting corners. They're just trying to find the easy way out.
Not being as focused as they need to be. Not being as determined as they need to be. All that kind of stuff. You know, back in the day, you know, I think everybody trained harder. Everybody dieted harder too. Because everybody knew what they were going to be up against, you know.
Yep.
Everybody wanted to win, you know. So, you know, you were trying to outwork the next guy. And then you were trying to out-diet the next guy. You know, you were trying to be on a harder, better diet or whatever. So everybody got in real good condition, you know, and it made it real hard on the judges too. So everybody was looking good, you know.
Yeah. Yep.
But nowadays, don't seem like they have that fire that we had back in those days. Like they just doing enough to get by, you know, doing enough to be up there and compete.
Right.
But, you know, I guess it's their era, you know. Everybody got their own era, how they want to look and how they want to do, you know. But so if everybody's doing the same thing, it's just what it is now, you know. Now maybe one guy be in shape. The other one just be halfway decent, you know. But like I said, but this is their era, you know. this is the area that they have established for themselves, and that's where it looks like that's where everybody's gonna be.
Well, if you had to give anybody advice right now, and they're coming up in the sport, or they're actually been in the sport, what would it be?
Yeah, I mean, shoot, I couldn't give nobody that no advice because they ain't gonna do what I tell them to do. Like I said, everybody's always saying they don't want to be like me, not being able to walk and being in all this pain and stuff. So they ain't gonna do what I tell them to do. So I ain't really no advice I can give them because, like I said, back in the day, I went to the gym and I worked hard. I hit hard. I went to the gym like, I was going to war or something.
Well,
and,
it was,
of course, everybody think that, all my injuries were from bodybuilding, but they not. They from when I played football and when I was on the powerlifting team back in the day. I hurt my back real bad one time in a powerlifting meet back when I was in high school. I was just learning how to squat, and I didn't know to keep my back straight, and I bent it, and I heard something pop in there, and I'm like, oh man, that hurt, But as a kid, you just keep going.
Mm-hmm.
And then one day, I remember I was playing football, and I hit somebody the wrong way, and I heard a loud pop. Oh man, that hurt bad. But I went, at least on this time, I went to the doctor. And I went, and they took all these X-rays. Oh, we don't see nothing, And I just kept playing on it, And then I think I got it. I did herniate a disc one time, getting ready for the Arnold Classic in 97. And I just kept going with that one too. And I just after a while, all these injuries and stuff, and all this powerlifting team, football. I played football, college 4 years, high school 3 years, then, the junior high and all that stuff. And, everything just catches up with you after a while. And then, have to get a surgery. Then that surgery caused you to get another surgery. And it's just a succession of surgeries from, all those discs. Just once you pull one out, they all fall. Pretty much is what happened. But everybody think it was because, I went real hard in the gym and lifted all that heavy weight. But you look back, that's been powerlifted way more than what I lifted back in the day. My little 800-pound stuff for reps ain't nothing to this compared to these thousands of pounds they did lifting and squatting today. Shoot. And shoot, they not all laid up and had thousands of surgeries. I just put my body through a lot over the years, with, like I said, with football and powerlifting and all this other stuff that I've done. And they just caught up with me. That's all it is. It ain't just one thing. It's a totality of things.
Yeah, well, and you had that mindset too, like I think you said in 97 when you felt that shotgun go off when you're back.
Yeah, that loud pop.
Yep, that loud pop. Yeah, I remember you telling me.
Working out. Yeah, yep. I kept working out, and I never got surgery or nothing from that. I go to chiropractor. But I've been going chiropractor since college. I started going that when I was in college and went every day and never stopped. So when I had the herniated disc, getting ready for the Arnold, I kept training. Kept training right through it.
Well, you also were very, very flexible. Like a lot of people don't realize.
From football, because we stretched every single day. Every day we stretched.
Yeah.
For about 35, 40 minutes a day, we were stretching. So I just kept stretching, when I got out of college, so that made me real flexible.
Yeah. Well, you were really good at doing that. You're really good at, like even in the beginning of the workouts, you would always train your abs. And you'd always get muscle therapy. You were always getting massage. I'm talking 2-3 hour massages,
Yep. 2 hour massages. Yeah. And I was doing this 2-3 times a week.
Yep.
Yep. And you were really on top of that. I think you were one of the first guys, and that also helped you a lot with your recovery at the time.
A whole lot. Well, they would put me on these machine called disc stretching machine, where they pull your disc apart.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Called decompression.
Yep.
Disc decompression. Pull your disc apart, so you get more.
You get more room so that the discs have fluid in between. So yeah.
So it kept it real good. Once I quit getting all that disc decompression stuff, that's when my disc started going bad on me.
Right.
I'll never forget it.
And right now, it's not something you can not possibly do right now, right? It's a little too far gone with all the.
Once you have that herniated disc, you can't do it no more. Well, once you have that surgery, you can't do it no more because they've
fused it.
Fused them, yeah. All my discs are fused.
All of them.
My neck, all the way down to my lower spine.
Yeah, because when you were on top of your therapy, I think that's probably, like you said, constantly being in therapy probably helped you get as far as you did.
Mm-hmm. Yep, it did.
Competing actually probably helped it from happening earlier.
Yeah, working out every day. That's how, I got my strength back. I stayed in the gym.
Right.
I worked my way back to,
Well, and you came back and then you broke those big screws, even though when you came back after the first set of surgeries, then you called me and you said, I broke the screws because the screws weren't strong enough.
Yeah.
And then they ended up breaking.
One time they put those screws in, I went to my room and the nurse said, I need to check your bandage. I just got out of the recovery. She said, I need to check your bandage because you just got out of recovery. And I'll make sure, there's not a lot of blood in there. So she had me bend over. As soon as I bent over, they broke.
The screws in your back.
And the screws in my back broke. Because I heard a loud pop. And when it popped, it like shattered my spine.
Wow.
Twice. Because when I bent over, it popped. And when I bent back the other way, it popped again. So I broke 2 screws by just bending over. That's how weak those screws were. I guess that's how strong my back was too. Broke 2 screws just like from bending over.
And then you had to put new ones back in?
Yep. I put new ones back in right away. Had surgery another week later.
Wow.
Back to back, just like that.
Well,
that happened like 3 times that year.
Well, you know what? That all said and done, I'm hoping that this next set of the stem cell, getting that treatment can get you a little bit of that pain relief, because I know how bad it is just from us talking and you saying that it's just gotten to the point where you're getting the numbness and the pain. It's getting progressively worse.
The numbness is starting to hurt, after a while. Your feet are so numb when you push down on like the gas pedal or the brake. That's painful.
Wow.
That's painful right there. So yeah, so I'm hoping this stem cell do a whole lot for me. They said they're gonna put the most that they've ever given anybody, like 30 cc's or something like that. It's a lot. They're gonna put so much in me that they're gonna have to put me to sleep to do it.
And when's this gonna happen?
Oh, you're gonna do it next week.
Next week.
Mm-hmm. Next Friday is what he was saying. So I'm looking forward to it, and I'm really hoping it help out a whole lot.
Well, we're all hoping so, man, because I know you and I have a date in the Middle East, because a lot of our distributors, because with your nutrition company and my nutrition company, we're getting a lot of requests that we've put off, and we need to get back to work. And I know you were in Algeria. You're talking about how great that was. You out in Dubai. You're out in all these different places, and I getting around must be really difficult right now. So just using your walker or using your crutches, right?
Yeah, crutches in my wheelchair.
Right.
I got this motorized wheelchair from this company out in Singapore, and it's been helping a lot. And this thing is off the chain. It goes about 5 miles an hour. It weighs 45 pounds, and you can fold it up. Wow. So when I get on the plane, all I got to do is just ride it down there to where you get on, fold it up, and they put it under the plane. When I get off, it's right there waiting for me. So that's one of the best things that ever happened to me. You know, I can take this thing anywhere I go. Like I went to the doctor the other day. You know, 45 pounds ain't nothing for somebody like me. So I can just pick this thing up out of my Escalade, out the back of my Escalade, unfold it, and just be on my way. And I get places faster than I do when I use my crutches. So normally it take me 10 minutes to get to the doctor's office from my car. When this wheelchair takes about 5.
And you don't have to, when you travel, can you travel alone now? Like if everything opens back up?
I take this wheelchair everywhere.
Okay.
This 45 pounds, I ride it down there to where you get to the gate, where you get on the plane, and I fold it up, and they put it under the plane right there. Sometimes I can put it on the plane. Sometimes some planes are so big, like on those international flights, and they have those big planes, they can put it right there in the closet. I've done that a couple times, where they just put it right there in the closet, and shoot, when I get off, when the plane lands, I got the wheelchair right there, waiting on me.
That's perfect.
Yeah, So yeah. So this wheelchair is coming real handy. And like I said, it's 5 miles an hour, and it gets up and go. Then they get ready to make one that goes 10 miles an hour next. But it weighs 70 pounds. 70 pounds and 70, 40, well, I mean, it's a big difference.
That's like a Rolls Royce.
Yeah, like a Rolls Royce.
Well, that's awesome, man. I'm glad that you're still super positive, because I think that's the biggest thing. When they watch the movie, the Generation Iron movie, The King, and they see...
Oh, yeah, I was in a lot of pain in that movie. A whole lot. I could barely walk with crutches at that time, you know, because I just come out of surgery.
Right.
And I was still doing therapy and stuff around that time, you know. So it was real bad when I was doing that, when I was doing the documentary. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
they did that thing over, you know, almost 2 years or whatever. So it took a long time. So I was better at sometimes. Sometimes, you know, I just got out of surgery. So, you know, sometimes it was good, and then the other times it was kind of bad.
Well, we know that all in all, people saw how strong your fortitude is and how you act. Like everyone's just blown away. Everyone's like, well, why would he do it again? And I'm like, because he's not a victim. I'm sorry, but he doesn't come from that, you know, he's not that victim. He would do the whole thing over again. And again, because I know you so well, you can't even make this kind of shit up. It's true. This is how you are.
Exactly. I'm doing what I love to do every day. Work out. It's always been my hobby, you know, since I was 12 years old, you know. And it's probably going to be something I do till the day I die. I'm quite sure it's going to be something I do, you know, until the day I die. Well, you know, I might even die in the gym. Working out. Yeah, shoot, I had a buddy of mine did that. But he had a heart attack or whatever.
Well, I know you take good care of yourself because you check your blood work.
Yeah, I still do that. I still do that. You know what I mean? You know, you have to have all those surgeries, you know?
Yep.
But when you're in the hospital, they take your blood work every single day. And then my last surgery, I was in there for 2 weeks. Imagine them coming there poking you every night for 2 weeks. Like, man, not again. Yep, again. Like, oh, man, can't wait to get out of here. But yeah, I'm still doing pretty good and still eating good, you know, still on my diet. Don't go to McDonald's no more. But I take the kids every day. But I cannot. It's so amazing that back in the day when I was competing, I could eat that food. But now I'm not competing, man. I hate it. I will not eat at McDonald's for nothing. Burger King, none of those places.
Does it just make you feel like shit because of all?
No, I just don't like it. I think I just ate too much of it.
You're sick of it.
Yeah, I'm done with it. I hate pizza, I hate burgers, all that.
What do you eat now?
I eat the same food every day. I get up, have my protein shake, I have my grits, I have my chicken and rice after that. Then I have my steak and baked potato.
And that's simple.
That's it. Yeah, that's simple.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Eat my 3-4 meals a day, and that's it. Well, I used to eat 6.
And now you're training how many days a week?
6. Yeah, Monday. Same as when I was competing. I trained 6 days a week when I was competing, so I still train 6 days a week.
Oh man,
yeah,
that's
every day except for Sunday.
Well, I want to say thank you, man. I really appreciate you taking the time because again, this is something that you're busy. You got these kids, and every time I talk to you got
jumping on me every 5 minutes here. They ready to go.
Yeah.
They ready to go. And McDonald's, and I take them get snow cones and stuff too. So they always were ready to go somewhere.
Yeah. Well, hey man, and I heard. Hey, by the way, is it true that a lot of these people are moving to your neck of the woods? Because I keep hearing about all these people from California and from the Northeast that are moving to Texas. Have you started seeing that yet?
Dries has been coming to the house, working out. During the pandemic. I hadn't seen nobody else. Dries moved here, and that's it as far as I know. I ain't seen nobody else.
The Dries that I used to train?
Yeah. The one you used to work with.
Yeah, the one that won the USA with me.
Yeah, he won you. Yeah. He trains here. Awesome. He comes like 3-4 days a week. He got some clients who train here also.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got a lot of people from California moving there, man.
He's the only one I've seen so far.
Got it. Yeah, like I said, I know a lot of people that moved out there, man. So final thoughts on this election that's coming up. I want to hear what your thoughts are.
On what election?
The election. The election coming up. Yeah.
Oh, man, shoot. I ain't got no problem with the guy in there now. So like I said, I got to tell you the other day, the economy is doing good. I'm doing good. I ain't got no complaints. So, I just hope it stays the same. We can ride this thing out another 4 years with this good economy during this pandemic and stuff. So, I'm just looking forward to things staying the same. Is all I'm trying to say.
Okay. So
if the same guy gets elected, it's all good with me. Well, they ain't got no problems whatsoever. I don't like the guy, nothing like that, but he's doing good for the country and the economy. So hey, let's keep it. Let's keep it like that. Well, keep this thing going good. The way it is. He can tell all the lies and stuff he wants to, as long as he keep that economy right. And I can feed all these kids here. I ain't got no problems.
Hey man, this is about one thing about you. This podcast is called The Truth, and you tell the truth, brother. This is how you feel about it is exactly how it is. I could always tell.
You know me. Probably half of my life, shoot.
Yeah.
I tell it like it is. I tell the truth. I don't hide it. No,
you don't, man. I appreciate you so much, man, because I know, like I said, you got so much stuff going on, and we talked about the old days with Kevin, with Flex, with all of the things that are going on. We have so many other stories. Next time we got to talk about how I got stuck in the trunk of the X5 with Scott James. Remember that?
We only told half the story now. Don't forget about that watch, that you helped me get. They wanted what, still 55, 60,000?
I think they were asking 60,000 for it.
Yeah, and you got it down to 30-something thousand, 30. Yeah. And I took it home and lost it.
Yeah, I can't believe you got such a good memory. That was Aruba.
They need to hear the story from the beginning, though.
Yeah. We got to tell that story next time. So we got
between there, they ain't heard about.
We got to tell that story. We got to tell the story about the time where you and I had the ping pong championships on the cruise ship. Actually, I'm going to tell that one real quick because this one is actually it won't take long. When Ronnie and I would go, Ronnie is a great athlete, but at 310 pounds, we're on the cruise ship one year and he says to me, "Hey, bro," I'm going to do my Ronnie Coleman accent right now. Okay. I'm going to be like, "Hey, dude, let's play some ping pong." And I was like, "Man, you're too big. You can't play no ping pong." And you're like, "Dude, I'm like a ping pong champion, right?" And I was like, "Dude, this guy, yeah, you're the best bodybuilder in the world. Yeah, you can lift up like crazy weight. And, but dude, you're too big to be good at ping pong." And I thought he was kidding. And he's like, "No, man, go grab the paddle. Let's do this right now." So we're on the ship and we're on our way to, I think, Honduras, from wherever port we're at. And Ronnie turns around to me and he's like, "Okay, dude, I ain't going to come. I'm not going to like hold back. So be ready." And this guy became like, have you ever seen those Chinese champions of ping pong? That's what Ronnie became. He was sitting there playing this, but he's 310 pounds and going crazy playing ping pong. And I'm watching this thing going, this dude is a ping pong champion. You whooped my ass, bro. And I couldn't believe the agility. Cause you're a linebacker at Grambling and you're you don't get to test that dexterity or any of that. And you crushed it. And I'm just sitting there and I don't remember, man, you like doubled our score and my score. And then, that was crazy. And then I was so thirsty that I drank all that lemonade. Remember on the cruise ship? I drank all the lemonade, got the worst heartburn ever. The next day, we get to Honduras and literally get off the ship. And I'm going to go try to find some Zantac or something, which don't take that stuff now because that stuff's all cancerous. But I was taking for Pepsid. I was looking for antacid because they didn't have very much on the ship. They had just some Tums and that didn't work. And I had drank so much of this stuff after getting my ass beat by Ronnie on ping pong. He goes, "No, man, I'm going to come with you." I said, "Well, I got to go to the pharmacy. You just stay on the ship with the girls and I'm going to go." And we went there. Remember, it was raining and you bought an umbrella?
Bought an umbrella off the street. Yep.
And there was dogs and there was chickens and there was all kinds of shit. And literally the first 100 feet was paved. And after that, it was just muddy streets. And we got a cab. And I was like, "Hola," and I was like trying to speak my broken Spanish. And you had a little bit of Spanish. And I'm like, we need to go to the La Farmacia. And so we went they took us to a hospital, like a hospital pharmacy kind of thing. And I asked the pharmacist, comes out and he looks at me and he looks at you. And I was like trying to figure out the words for antacid. And the guy comes over with a bottle, like 5 bottles of testosterone. And he's like, "I know what you need." I was like, "No, man, I need some antacid. I need some Pepsid." But I'll never forget that because he was like, no, anabolicos. And I'm like, no, I'm here for antacid, not anabolicos. Because they took one look at you and they were like, "What?" But I'll never forget that, man. So I got my ass beat at ping pong. And then we went on a scavenger hunt looking for, antacid in Honduras the next day.
That's crazy.
That was the best times, man. That was best times. But we got a lot of stories. We'll talk about the next time. We'll talk about the watch. We'll talk about how you got drunk for the first time, and when we were at the casino, and what happened, and when those guys were all trying to. Oh man, we have a lot of really good stories. But
yeah,
yeah, we'll keep that one for next time. But again, thank you, brother. I really appreciate you. Just. Best way to get a hold of you, bro, just on your website. And I know you just came out with your clothing, some new updated clothing. You want to go ahead and talk about that? Is that on your website or is that on IG? How do they get a hold of your new clothing?
It's all on my website, ronniecoleman.net.
Okay.
About everything there. Got the supplement line, 30-something products. Then they got the clothing line. We got like 10, 15 items we started out with, and we're going to add on to it from there. I got the book, Amazon.com for that,
Awesome. Well, you got everything on there, man. Well, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much. I'm Hany Rambod. I'm with the GOAT, 8-time Mr. Olympia, Ronnie Coleman, and that's the truth.
Yeah, buddy.